Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get back to one of our major stories today, the announcement of the suspension of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta. Tonight, joining me, a former presidential aide, Laud, and I have a very well-known public affairs analyst himself, who's practiced journalism also, Majid Dairo. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What a day it is in Nigeria. First and foremost, a public outcry. This young minister, this is what has happened. There was a response from our ministry. There was a response from the Accountant General of the Federation. But the president has wielded a big stick. Now it has happened. Mr. Dairo, what do you make of it?
He's done the right thing. Mr. President has done the right thing by suspending the minister to allow for investigation, as was promised by his government. So in that regard, he has done the right thing in line with his duties and responsibilities as president, who swore an oath to uphold constitutionalism and rule of law.
Let's assume the woman has done no wrong.
When she's exonerated, then of course, she will now have the choice of either returning to her office or whether Mr. President also redeploy her or so. It will depend on the outcome of the investigations. But for now, because of the issue of the image of the government and the need to, at all times, make government appear above board like Caesar's wife, whenever there's an indictment or an allegation of this magnitude, is always of interest to everybody. It's in everybody's interest for such a public officer to recuse themselves or be suspended.
You heard the Minister of Interior's explanation. What do you make of it?
Well, strictly by the law, you cannot actually fault a company, a duly registered company that is permitted to do businesses in Nigeria, also doing business, in this instance, business of consultancy for the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, so long as the minister has, in line with the law, excused himself from the running of the office of the company and the entity. So long as we don't have evidence of influence peddling or the use of his office to influence his colleague to award such contract to his company. In absence of such evidence, well, we can also take his explanation in good faith.
Laulu, you've been in government. How does this thing work? Can monies be paid into private pocket, into private bank account for government purposes to be delivered to the people?
Yeah, actually, that was the part that I was surprised when I saw the statement of the ministry. Not knocking down the information in the public that money had actually been approved to be transferred to a personal. And it's clearly an infraction of financial regulations, And I agree entirely with Dairu that Mr. President has done the right thing to say that, look, I'm taking this seriously. I'm not going to tolerate this kind of behavior except the minister is proven to be actually above board. And it's important for the president to note that the need for consequences, the impunity is one of the things that we have suffered, as a country, even as many of our administration. Many things like these go without any kind of consequence. And so it's a bit of a relief that the president acted, and he acted swiftly. But the thing is that we must see this through, and we must see it through in a very transparent way. The president has started very transparently, moved very quickly. We have almost 3 government statements. Mr. Bayo Ononuga spoke on Saturday, the spokesman on Sunday, and on Monday, the president acted. Excellent. But this has to be taken all the way to the end, and the public has to be kept in the know.
There are those who say that if this was in the past regime, perhaps nothing would have happened.
Well, we also have instances where, ministers were suspended and actually removed for infraction. But I like the speed, that this administration has dealt with this matter, is commendable.
But you look again, being in the presidency for 8 years, what do you think could have gone wrong in these kind of, can anybody be naive to be at that level of federal government appointment that this kind of process would have gone on and you do not understand or you do not identify that there is a possible infraction in all of this? What do you think could have gone wrong?
It smells very bad. I think we must say that it smells very, very bad. It's not looking good at all. And that's why I said initially that I was shocked that the ministry statement actually did not say that did not happen. Because it's very clear what the financial regulations say. You don't put government money, public money, in a private account. Oh, they come back and said, oh, it's the project accountant. No. This is almost 600 million.
Those who argue that was not a private account, it's a public officer's account to be used for the purpose to disburse for government purpose. So the question will be, if you were a government official, can you handle government money in your personal account? Has that kind of thing happened before?
It's not supposed to happen at all. You are not supposed to use your personal account. Now, don't even forget that we're talking about monies that are meant to go to vulnerable people. The best practice, which we had in this country between 2016 and 2019, is that such monies go from the coffers of the government directly to the accounts of the beneficiaries. We've done it before. Which was why I was shocked that...
So it's a departure from what you know.
Oh, completely. Completely.
Mr. Dairu, let me bring you back into the conversation. Look, with all of these things that these monies are supposed to be meant for the vulnerable people,
yes,
helpless people, poor people, Nigerians, indigent, who need this money like blood. And now this is happening. And you imagine that on the same day that the predecessor of the minister is in the EFCC night answering question, it's the same day the president is suspended the substantive minister. Is this a curse on that kind of ministry?
I think that ministry has become notorious for using public fund that is meant for the poor and the vulnerable in a manner that has become, unbecoming of public officers at the level of ministers. And so, like you rightly pointed out, you have a case where one minister that was in charge of the ministry is answering to questions over financial misappropriations, and you have her successor also be suspended. So this brings us to the larger question of the relevance of this very ministry in the first instance. I think beyond just suspending the current Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, I think we need to have an overview of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management and ask ourselves the pertinent question: do we actually need such a ministry? And in my opinion, I think that ministry should be scrapped. I say this because Nigeria, with the level of poverty in this country, and without the solid structure in terms of database, comprehensive database of all Nigerians that are indigent and poor, because of the overwhelming number, as a matter of fact, this is a country without social security number, for instance. I think it is very difficult to actually run a social intervention program of this nature. And for me, I would have thought that for our level of development and the level we are now, some of these monies that are being filtered away, that are being sieved through private accounts before it gets to a few of the intended beneficiaries, should be used to actually kickstart real development. So I would want the effort of the government to be directed towards funding public primary and secondary education to a level where citizens can become politically aware and enlightened and economically empowered enough to either create jobs or be innovative enough to add value to the production value chain in this country.
Let me put Laulu on the spot. I have 20 seconds to go, but give me an understanding of what this makes for the Bola Tinubu government. If this woman, Betta, is found not guilty of all of this, because he's pending, the suspension is pending investigation, what do you think is this portend for the Tinubu government?
Well, I mean, I think we have to give the president the benefit of the doubt because he has already taken the right action. What I would like to say is that if you remember when the cabinet was composed, there was a coordinating minister for social welfare. So you had a coordinating minister of health and social welfare. The question is, what is the role of that minister in matters of poverty alleviation? I mean, you would think that the president had thought about the importance of this issue, and that was why he had a coordinating minister. But does he have a role in this?
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. We're totally out of time. I wish we had more time, but Thank you so much, Daru Majid and Laulu Akane. I appreciate both gentlemen for coming tonight.
Good to see you again, Sheikh.
Thank you so much. It's good to be back. But that's our show. It looks time is not enough. I wish we could continue. So much more to talk about. But I'll see you again tomorrow. Got some package for you. I'm sure Kimale. Bye-bye, everyone.